All right, all right, all right. Welcome to the Habit-Based Lifestyle and Business Show. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell. Today, we're going to be talking specifically about 4 reasons why your engagement might be down. Now, you may be wondering, if you're posting content on social media, you might be wondering why your engagement might be down. Maybe you're someone who shows up on multiple platforms, posts, multiple times a week, and your engagement just might not be getting the engagement that you want. You might be a little bit frustrated, and you really want to know, hey, is this an actual engagement problem, or what are some ways that I can actually fix this? So when we get into today's show, if you are joining live, I want you just to simply hashtag live. You're watching the replay, hashtag replay. Maybe you are listening later on our podcast, or maybe watching a video. You can't really do any of those. So anyways, you can, however, give us a thumbs up, or, give us a like, whatever you want to do. But so the question usually that people ask is like, hey, do I actually have an engagement problem? And depending on, what platform you're on, there's some very specific things you can do to begin to fix that. And I want to go through a few of those today and show you specifically what you can do with that. So let's talk about this. So number one is we're going to talk about content. So the number one reason why your engagement may be down is because of the type of content you may be putting out. And what does that actually mean? So I want to draw this out for a second. So let me draw this out for you. So number one reason why your engagement may be down is simply your content. What does that mean? That means that everything that we are doing on a day-to-day basis is really going to be impacted by the type of content we put out. Now, I'm not one of these people that, might say, well, you have to have the perfect type of content. But I am a person. I want to make sure this screen is a little bit messed up. So I'm not sure exactly what happened. I'm going to cut out from there. So let's talk about this. So number one is content. Sorry, that messed me up a little bit, having it switched over to where you can't read that. And that's super annoying. So I want to see if I can fix it. If I can't, I'm just going to move on. So number one is going to be content. Okay. Most people are either doing one of two things. They're doing what we call the spray and pray method of content, which means they're putting the exact same content across multiple platforms and really, hoping and praying that somebody does something with it. The problem with that is what I post on Instagram isn't necessarily something that's going to work on Facebook. What I post on Facebook isn't necessarily something that's going to work on Instagram. There may be some similar rules and similar things, but for the most part, it's a very different platform. Instagram tends to go a little bit more off, pictures, even like carousel, kind of like a more artistic side. Obviously, pictures, things like that do really well. What I've seen on Facebook is stuff that feels maybe more organic, stuff that kind of feels like something maybe you just created. Not stuff with not a lot of artwork on it. Doesn't tend to work very well on Facebook, where it might work a lot better, or a polished picture on Instagram will probably work a lot better than a polished picture on Facebook. Those are just things that I've seen. But make, your content, even if it's the same content or similar content, make it more user-friendly for the platform you're on. So what does that mean? Here's really what I believe. Like the best content you can do is specific to each platform. So even if I have a post that works really well on Facebook, it may not work very well on Instagram. it doesn't mean that your engagement down. It means that you're not understanding the platform. So make sure that when you go to post content, whatever platform you're using, make sure that you understand what are the best practices for each individual platform. So it's really going to come down to the type of content you're going to use. Personally, for me, I like to use on Facebook the colored backdrop. I like to ask, questions, things like that. But really what that does is that begins to drive engagement, that begins to have the right type of content, and then even content that's more, maybe more vulnerability. Maybe on Facebook, we have a more general kind of picture associated with the post. Maybe on Facebook is on Instagram is a picture that might be more direct. Maybe it's kind of a professional picture. Maybe I did a photo shoot. Now, both of the written copy is the same, but the visual is different, and the visual is geared towards the platform that I'm on. And so make sure that you are posting the right type of content for the platform you're on. If you're someone who's doing the spray and pray method where you're trying to post across all the platforms, like focus on one platform, because I'll tell you that if you can figure out one platform, a lot of the same rules apply to the other platform. It just may need that the actual like post or the visual may need to change just a little bit to get more engagement out of it. But for the most part, if you have the same framework, it's going to be very consistent. Okay. Now I know there are some people who are successful with the exact same thing, but it's more about them personally than it is about any specific content. So if you're not vulnerable in your content, it's going to score you down on both sides. If you don't know what content drives your your brand or your niche, then that's obviously going to score your content down. So make sure that your content is specific to the niche that you're actually working towards. Now, the other thing is this, not being clear about what you want people to do. So it's one thing to post content. It's another thing to actually train your audience how to engage. What does that mean? That means that you want to make it really simple for people to engage. You want to give them a call to action, a clear direction on what they can do, but you also don't want it to sound desperate. Now, here's some things that people do is they might say something, or they might have in there, hey, please like and share or comment. And I like to kind of go by the rules of Simon Says. If Simon says do 4 things, nobody does anything. If Simon typically says do 2 things, they typically don't do anything. But if Simon says, hey, do this exact one thing from this piece of content, typically people will do it. And so a call to action may be like, hey, if you like this post, simply comment back. Simply comment back, and maybe I'll reach out to you. If it's something else, a big thing that people are doing now is like, hey, DM me for more information. But like, we're making it harder for people to engage in our content. So, I mean, think about it this way. If I read your post and I said, hey, DM me for more information, I don't know how many people are not actually DMing me. And so maybe I have 10 people that want to respond to it, but 5 of them don't want to DM me and the other 5 do. I've now just lost 5 people because I wasn't direct enough on how they could engage. Where if I said, hey, comment, yes, and I'll personally reach out to you, now that made it really simple to do a call to action, and it made it really simple for them to comment, and then I'm going to reach out to them. Plus, I can track how many did that. Now, that's a couple examples of more of an ask style piece of engagement. There's other ones where it's like, hey, comment below if you agree, or comment below if you don't agree, whatever, right? Or, hey, share this with a friend, or tag a friend in the comments. That's one specific direction. Okay. And when we do call to actions, we only give one direction. We don't give multiple because now it makes it confusing. If you guys have ever played Simon Says, we want to make it less confusing and we want to make it easier for you to engage. So not being clear on your call to action is another reason why your engagement may be down, or maybe your content has no call to action and that's why nobody engages with it. And sometimes it's as simple as just asking yourself what I'm about to say the next one. So when people comment, one of the main things that I see is a lot of times people don't engage back with people. So imagine, you asked a question and you answered it, and then somebody didn't engage back with it. That would make you not want to, continue to interact with that person. So I always try to treat it as if I was sitting across from someone at a coffee shop, right? If they ask me a question, the natural thing for me to do would be to engage back with them. But sometimes in our social media content, we're so worried about whether or not people are engaging in our content. Number one, we may not be engaging in other people's content, right? And, hey, if I have 100 friends and you're one of the friends that never comments on any of my stuff, but I'm expecting you to do it, I'm probably not going to be doing that. So, the way I kind of think of it is, if you want people to engage in your content, number one, you need to engage back when they engage with it. Number two, you need to also have that reciprocity engage back with them on their content. And, what that does is like, hey, it feels good when people engage in your content, but to the average person, they're not getting that back either. So you want to make sure that, hey, if people engage in your content, you engage in their content. Or if you want more people to engage in your content, you need to be engaging more in other people's content. Don't just be a taker. And so one of the things that I've found is that, if you want more engagement, you got to be willing to give that what you want to receive first. And so if I want more engagement, I need to go out and engage with other people so that I have that reciprocity back. Because let's face it, like we call them, assholes. Don't ask people to engage in your content if you're not willing to engage back with theirs. That's a huge thing that we see oftentimes, is like our expectation is people are going to engage with us, but we don't ever engage with them. And then we wonder why we never get more engagement. And it's because I'm a firm believer in that, hey, you got to give that what you want to receive first if you want more of something. And that's really anything. And so we really have to begin to put ourselves out there in that place. And so make sure that, hey, when people engage, number one, you reward them, you comment back, but also make sure that you're willing to go first and engage with other people. Okay. And the last piece of this is, let's talk about video content. So one of the things is that each individual platform wants you to post from that platform. So if I have a video that's maybe a reel, or maybe it's a video I want to share, make sure that when I post to Facebook, it's an original video for Facebook. Make sure if I post to Instagram, it's an original video for Instagram. Make sure if I post to something like TikTok, it's the original content. And I'll tell you this, that each platform rewards original content more than it does anything else. However, certain platforms, they do not like it when you share links. So if there was a training video and it was attached to YouTube, your content would automatically get scored down. So make sure you're not sharing links of videos from other platforms. Make sure you're not, sharing from TikTok to Facebook, because Facebook is going to see that and it's going to get scored down. So whether you're doing reels or doing live videos, post, the original content on each platform so that you get the most out of it. I'm going to give you two more examples, but don't share or repurpose links from one platform to the other. I know stories typically isn't as big of a deal. It doesn't typically get scored down, but I do know that any type of content on your profile, that's attached to others. Now, it may take more time and effort, but every platform likes the original content the most. So even if it is the same video, just make sure it's posted on separate platforms separately. It's not shared across platforms. Okay. So I'm going to give you two things. Number one, be consistent. So if you're going to post consistently every day, keep up with that consistently every day, as long as it's a value content, valuable things like that. That's a big thing. If you're going to post 3 times a week, just be consistent with posting 3 times a week. What I would say is be consistent at 3, 4, or 5 days a week, whatever that is, and then continue to build on top of that as you continue to grow. Okay. But it's always going to come down to quality of content over quantity of content. So there's no point in you posting every day. If 3 days a week, your content's terrible, you would be much better off posting 4 days a week and having quality content, maybe taking a little more time. So people, typically interact with people who are consistent, whether it be 4 days a week, whether it be 7, or whether it be 3. Just be consistent with whatever that is. Now, another piece of this is a little bit of a secret. So let's talk about if you had people that maybe partnered with you, were in business with you, or have either gotten results with you, you can tag them in a post and either talk about them, or, maybe have a business partner, you could tag them. The big thing with this is this drives this to their, social media profile. It gives them the opportunity to share it, and that expands your audience. Now, one thing on this is something that people used to do back in the day when I first started doing this is they might tag, 10, 20, 30 people, 100 people. I think at 99 people was the most we could tag at one time. Don't spam and do that. I don't recommend that. I don't even recommend tagging more than about 3 to 5 people when you do this, but make sure that if you do tag them, you do talk to them, because sometimes if people have no idea why you're tagging them, they could have blocks on their profile. They, if they don't know why you're doing it, they may just not want you tagging them in general. But if it's a business partner or someone who's gotten results, maybe just let them know, hey, I'm going to tag you in this. Do you mind if I do it? But that's an easy way. Imagine if I have, 5,000 friends, they have 4,000 friends. Now all of a sudden it's going out to 9,000 friends, or I have, 2 or 3 people that I let know that's a business partner or someone who's maybe gotten results. And I have 3 or 4 people that have 3 or 4,000 friends each. That's going out to 9,000 to 12,000 people plus my audience. And so that's tripling and 4Xing, our reach. So those are some ways that you can get your engagement back no matter what platform you're on. They're very simple. They're very easy. But again, the biggest thing with all of this is if you truly want, it's very rarely ever about the platform why your engagement's down. I'm just going to say that. It's usually going to come down to your content. It's going to come down to your call to action, and it's going to come down to making it really simple for people to engage, and it's going to come down to how consistent you are. Those are the big things that are going to go into this. And so a little bit of a recap. Number one is you got to have the right type of content for the platform. Number 2 is you got to have a clear call to action on how you want people to engage. The easiest way to do it, start with asking questions. Number 3, you don't engage back with people when they engage in your content, or you're just not engaging in other people's content first. So why would they come to yours? Number 4 is making sure that you're posting original content, especially when it comes to video on each platform. You're sharing the original content. You're not sharing across platforms. And then you're showing up consistently. And then you do have kind of an engagement hack, which is tagging someone who might be a business partner or a client who's gotten results. So guys, if you want to learn more about how we help our clients grow their social media profiles, how we can teach you how to make an extra $10,000 to $30,000 a month, leveraging your social media profile, simply just comment HBL. I'll personally reach out to you and we'll give you a profile audit. We'll see if this is actually a good fit for you. If you're listening to the podcast, you can always reach out to me, Jesse at habitbasedlifestyle.com, and I will personally reach back out and see if we can possibly help. Until next episode, until next training, we'll talk to you guys soon.